Okay, everyone, welcome back. Today is Saturday. What is today? The 4th of May, 2024. Out here to see if we can get into trouble again. What we're going to do today is get this push button assembly and tuner back together as one unit. I've got the trimmer string array right here. Actually, it's the mount to this radio that sits down onto there. Here's the spring for this here that loads that so that it shifts gears on the thing. This is a bolt and a lock washer for the underside here where it ties this down. And here is the angle clip and screws that goes on here. That is like the clutch mechanism. I guess you could liken it to a throwout bearing, if any of you remember the throwout bearings of times past. So let me put this down. Hopefully you get in a good seat. Let me put this thing around here. Hopefully I keep everything in frame for you and everything. So what we're going to do is, now what I did with this particular let me get my eyeballs on for my readers. What I did on this here is I took and shifted this thing here offset like that, and I took a little file like that and put a cham edge right on the back end of all of these push button shafts to kind of give them a little slope angle on the thing, and not so sharp against here, because a lot of times they'd catch on this sawtooth thing here, and it'd be pretty hard to push. So I put a little cham on the edges of the shaft where it contacts right there. So that helps alleviate any jams and tightness on the thing. Now, 2 screws on this side, 2 screws on that side. If you remember when we took this apart, you may want to throw a little bit of lube in here, or a little bit of grease on the thing. You can use the white fricka-frackas on the thing, or you can use automobile like wheel bearing grease, just enough to keep it lubed up, not a great deal. So now what we're going to do is put this onto here. I've left this and the lock washer on this end. There is a notch here for that and a complete hole there, and you just slide it up onto there, and now we can put the lock washer and nut onto that. Tighten this down. Okay, it got a pretty good fit there, so there's no real play in it to speak of. So what you wind up with is what you need. Now, this gizzy thingy here, you can put the spring in. Doesn't matter too much which way you turn it. So what I do is take my put it down in there, get it underneath that thing right there, like that. And then in the second hole, right here. These 3 holes are for your tuner wires that come in. There's one on the right end, one on the left end, and one in the middle. They can turn this thing here a little bit. And let's see if I can do this thing. It's time for me to change my sock thing. Okay, put that back down in there. Give it a little twist. Bring it over and put it down in there. There we go. A lot simpler than what I made it out to be. So it hooks right in there into that one. And now that gives you the spring action. Springende Deutsch on there. So I've yet to put some G-lube on that thing to help alleviate some of the tightness on the thing, especially where it rubs here and there. I try to take all the edge burrs off of all the stuff here, because if you notice, if you've done any of these, some of the raw materials that they use for this thing still have their shear edge. You know, when you go to shear something, it leaves a little bit of a ridge on the thing. So I always file those edges off to kind of jam them a little bit to relieve any stickiness and edginess off the thing. So now down in there, and where's my stick pegger here? Down in there you'll be able to see the trimmers down in between those things, and there's just enough room you can get a good blade down through there to make the adjustments on them. I think most of these are probably for the shortwave. One might be for the broadcast or AM or whatever, and the rest are for some of the other things, antenna, RF, oscillators. So now we've got that much of this done. We've got the rubbers back on it. These are original. They are still pliable. These over here are still the originals. So what I'm going to do now is make the attempt. Let's get an adjustment here so I can move this chassis in. Now I got most all these wires that I clipped off of the tuner section and to the boost section and to the trimmer rail, all prepped and ready to go. All the ends are exposed. We may tin them up a little bit with a little dabble of solder on the thing and maybe some resin as needed. Let me get over here and see about getting this wire through the chassis here. I believe this wire here is for the lamps. Okay, now we'll get those back down there out of the way. I have to remove these. Where's my Chingawaki here? So we'll get those in the Ericafrix and Okay. Now, you may want to take and back these front screws things, the holding screws, the mounting screws for the front plate. Back them out a little bit, especially these over here. These here you won't need to. And one of the things I was going to do before putting this back in place was fix that that little limiter prong right there for the boost assembly, because it was bent over 90 degrees. So we got that taken care of. There we go. Now this tuner section, when you go back in, you're gonna have to remember to remove these or it's not going to fit. So we'll get them off and out of the way. Okay, we'll get that back out of the way. Now when you put this in, you'll have to take and tilt it a little bit to the side. And there we go. Now when you get it in there, you're not going to be able to bolt it up right away or hook it up right away. This tuning shaft assembly here is going to have to be installed right now. So because you're going to have to tilt this thing up in order to get that thing past that saw blade. And we're going to take and put the saw blade on there. So let me make the adjustment here real quick. Okay, now since you managed getting it, what in the hell? Okay, never mind. You'll be able to see the marks from the grubs, from the grubby screws. They'll be pointed up predominantly. You can just push that on until it goes back in there and seats all the way back. You can make the adjustment later on to tighten it up. Now, okay, sorry about the break in the video there. I had a call come in, my daughter. She's the one that took me down and picked me up on both occasions for my surgeries. And she's checking in on me, making sure I'm doing what I need to do. She is a NP in California, and she owns 2 businesses over there. Started 2 businesses over there doing weight loss and some other kind of personal thing. This thing, if you can see it there on my shirt, and she gave me the shirt. It's one of her businesses, and so yeah, she helped collaborate on my healthcare stuff and everything, and so she does her thing and helps me do mine sometimes. She makes sure that I get my healthcare taken care of. So now back to this thing. These 2 shafts here will eventually go in. One will slide in through here to go to here, This one here will go in here and go in through there, and they will meet up right here where this meshes into that, and that's what makes the world go round. Now, this here is an original thing, and it's locked. Well, it was locked on there pretty good, fairly good anyway. So it's broke loose, and it's coming off. So somebody went through here and put, I guess, a little thin piece of cardboard or something in there, something a little bit more firm, and super glued it onto there. But this blade here is gonna scratch off anything eventually. I mean, you give it enough turns and everything through there, it's gonna get its limit of travel, and then you're gonna scratch it and you're gonna start taking it off. Well, that's what's been happening on this thing. So now I got one of my regular replacement grommets, and it's about the same size, but it'll press on there really good. You'll have to super glue it on and let it cure completely. Let's take this thing off here, and we will slide this thing onto there, and slide it back. Here's the edge of the Tinkerwonky. We'll put it in there and get a, come on, there we go. Yeah, I pushed it on too far. Squeaks draw. Yeah, bear with me. I mean, not totally brain dead yet. I had a problem with my brain, not my bladder. Yeah. Okay, no, I gotta go back a little bit more. Frickus. Okay, there we go. Now I got it back far enough. It doesn't matter where in the hell it's at. I just want to use it to there we go. Now put that back down onto there, and now that thing is back through there long enough, and it's where it needs to be, you can see, hopefully, yeah. Yeah, get my stick pigger here. This fat part of the meat wants to be right on that edge of that sawtooth. No further on, no further off. So what we're going to do is we're going to push it on there until that. Yeah, that's what you got. So, and then what you'll do is you make the adjustment here to that rubber with the blade. That's there we go. So this thing is going to go onto there like that, and you will scooch this up until you get, once this thing is locked in and you get all the clips back on it and everything else like that. I just wanted to illustrate where you need to have this thing in order for it to function. And now that we got that, we can go ahead and get that back out of the way, pull this loose, bring this up, and there we go. And that's where it needs to be. You can take and straighten it up so that it's nice and straight, and you can see we're at the edge. You can see the old mark there where the original one, the limit of the original one was there. And now you know where to be on that thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this Gorilla stuff and make a monkey out of myself. Alright, so now that we know that, we're gonna pull this back. Mm-hmm. There's the original limit of the original whatever that was. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pump some juice around this thing. There we go. Now we'll push this back into position. Get this here so I don't stick myself to the shaft and have to become part of the radio. That looks reasonable enough. Okay, now what we got to do is let that cure up until it hardens up, and then and then we will be back for more fun. So let me put my little dribble drabble up there, get all this gooey stickum off my fingers, and then we'll show you what to do next. So hang on, we'll be back for more. Okay, here we go. We've got this pretty much cured up. We're not going to be operating it until it does get fully cured. But we're going to go ahead and assemble it anyway. So let me bring this down here a little bit more. Move that into there. Hopefully I can keep my skinny little fingers out of the way. So now what I want to do is I want to put some goop. Chamber oil, good enough. There we go. Put that in there for some lub. Okay. This here goes right through there. We've got a little ooze. And let's see if we can get this thing put in here. There we go. Okay, we got that through. Let's wipe our shaft. Yeah, clean the heck off your shaft. Okay, now we will lift this up, put this in, get in there, and we're going to have to get this back in there like that, out the way of the wheel. And of course, let's see if we can keep this thing up out of the way. You're gonna have to get this in there, in that slot. There we go. There we go. Come on, let go. Yeah, let me double check this thing here real quick. Crack a frickus rackus. Okay, I had to break it all apart again and do a quick adjustment to the grommet in relation to the saw blade. So we're back again. So now what we can do is I guess we could put these rubbers onto here, these isolators in. Let's get this back there so we can see a little bit what we're doing here. And okay, there's that. There's that. That one. That's all snuggled up. That's all snuggled up. Now, that won't be going anywhere, I hope. So now that we've got that, we got the spring on the clutch system. We can do something with this. Do something with this. Yeah. But first, we need to get this. We need to get this out of the way so that we can get this over the shaft. There we go. Now it'd be better using this big ass blade one for this. Where are we at here? There we go. So we'll get that all snuggled back down in there. Uh-huh. There we go. We just give those a little snuggling up there, so they don't need to be really torqued down tight. Okay, now, if you see this here, yeah, that blade is right there. We need to put this back over here, get this right there, and now we can shuffle that blade in its relaxed state up against, firmly up against There we go. Now, that's all we need to do with that. That is pushed up firmly against the thingy-wonky. And before we slip these clips into here, we're going to make sure that she operates all right. Let's see if I can get it to a point where you can see how this clutching mechanism works. See how that thing that's how that operates. Throw-out bearing. So now we're gonna, well, the only other issue you may have is this pinch roller right here. It may have some slippage on it, and in that case, before you get everything connected onto this thing, you want to make sure that this here operates as designed. And if there is any slippage in this pinch roller right here, you're going to have to probably take and scratch up this this disc here, disc plate, or pinch this down tighter. And I'm not quite sure how I had a little slippage in the last radio, and it looks like I might get some in this one. So that means I might have to take this back out again, which means pull this loose. You see what I mean by don't get it all put back together, but get it back to where it needs to be, and then that way you know whether or not this thing here is going to perform. That's why I say you got to let that cure up completely, so that way there's no slipping with this grommet on the shaft. So I'm going to have to do something with this thing in order to tighten up this pinch roller. So let me take care of that and we'll be back. Okay, plan Z again, maybe double Z this time. We had a glitch. Yeah, I kind of figured as much after about 3 times or better trying to get this thing meshed in and this set up, and applied friction to the chingadero there, and all I would do is this thing here would just spin in this slip joint right here. Well, I guess it was slipping. So what I had to do, I took it off and put it in a block, and went to set the end again to mash it all tight together again, and it wasn't having it after about 3 times of that. And then I noticed real close on the back here that this back, I guess it's a copper ring, it might be a brass ring, but this back copper disc was loose. I mean, I think it was solid, and it was set in there, and then it was set with a nail set or a rivet set to tighten it up. And over time, it just wore out, gave loose, and then I came along and tried to set it some more, and it wasn't having it. So it was still loose, and all it would do was spin, and it's got to be solid to the shaft in order for this to turn like it should in between these pinch points. So now what I did was I set the whole doggone thing tight again, as tight as I could get it, and then I backed it up with some epoxy back and front around the whole perimeter of that thing, so neither one is going to move, hopefully, before anything else moves. So now I gotta let that cure up. Again, I must have took this thing, put it together about 4 or 5 times, and it just wasn't working. And the last one, I told you about it giving me a little bit of a tussle, but it wasn't quite as bad as this. This here came loose and broke loose. So we'll get to try that out tomorrow. So I made sure everything else was copacetic on the thing, and we're going to try and do this thing again tomorrow, and hopefully that will hold. I'm pretty confident it will. I used epoxy on the back end of my motor block when I was a kid. I had a water jacket leak. There was a crack behind the camshaft at the back of the engine where the camshaft thrust plate was, and the flywheel. And so when I got the transmission out and the flywheel on, the clutch off and everything else, I noticed, oh man, big old ass crack. So I thought, what the hell am I going to do with that? Somebody said, epoxy it. So I put about 1, 2, 3, 4 or more coats of epoxy on it to thicken it up. I'll be damned if it didn't hold. Even racing my car. I had a 4-speed Falcon 63 Falcon Sprint that had the 289 small block in it, and it was a nasty little sucker with a 4-speed. And that doggone jacket held real good. I never had a problem with it until the burned motor out. But I was a kid then. I was 16. No, I was 18 years old. So we're going to let this rest for the rest of the night. I'm going to rest for the rest of the night. I'm going to put up my shit and go in and YouTube it for a little while longer, and maybe have a green bean taco with chili peppers, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. So have a great Saturday night. Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo. So enjoy your weekend. See you on the next one.